Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Tripod, where we break down every NFL game every week from a betting perspective. This week, a little bit different, actually, how we've prepared for this week. Generally, in the mornings, me and Jacob get together on a conference call and go through the sides that we like, but because I will be heading off to the Doomben races early this morning, he sent me his leans and likes last night, and I've seen if we've agreed, and there's actually quite a few disagreements, so not as many best bets this week, a little bit more of a selective week, but that's the reason we've been crushing it. 5-1 last week on best bets, 21-7 for the season. That sits us at 75%. Now, I'd say that is unsustainable, and it probably is, but, 6 weeks into the NRL season, we were saying over 60% is unsustainable, and we're at grand final tomorrow, and 62% for the season on NRL. So let's hope that we can continue this good run of form on the NFL. Been a little bit unlucky with the same game multis, but once again, your main stakes and your biggest stakes should be on the single bets, and at 75%, I'm pretty certain that we're all in profit, that's for sure. So let's get kicked off. 6 games I'm going to talk about today. The first one is the Lions at the Falcons. The Lions are plus 2.5 points, the total sitting at 55 points. No best bets on this one. It should be a really fun game, and that's kind of why I wanted to talk about this one. Falcons get their first win of the season last week. So I guess you could say a little bit of losing streak theory for this Falcons side, and maybe, just maybe, Dan Quinn, being finally gone, this team freed up a little bit, and it's not necessarily, always getting a new coach in there. Sometimes it's just getting a coach that, the players weren't happy with out of there. And sometimes that's all you need is a little bit of a change like that. So maybe the Falcons are on the up from here. Julio's good to go in this one. Calvin Ridley's officially been named in. So this Falcons side has been missing, some receivers all season long. They get them back this week. The Lions pretty much had the bye last week. Playing the Jags. And that was off the bye as well, so they'll be pretty fresh. Jacob leaned to the Lions in this one. I can't go with it just because, I know they've got Kenny Golladay there, but Marvin Jones is injured, and now, the Detroit Lions center is injured, plus their defensive end, Trey Flowers, who was actually the highest rated edge defender in Week 6 out of all teams. He's going to be out for this one as well. So those are a couple of guys that don't necessarily move the needle in terms of line movement, but like centers and that kind of stuff are very important. So I would lean to the Falcons in this one. Jacob leans to the Lions, so we are staying away. The next game up, no best bets on this one either, but it's a fun game. Should be another fun game. It's the Packers at the Texans. The Packers are laying 3.5 points on the road. The total is 57. It's a really tough one to cap. I would lean a little bit to the Texans in this one. Jacob goes the other way. The Packers coming off, their first loss of the season, and a big loss at that to the Bucs. And look, that was the Packers' worst game for sure that they've played. It was Rodgers' worst game. A couple of picks early on kind of dug them into a hole there. So you do expect a bounce back from this Packers team. However, you've got your left tackle Bakhtiari injured, didn't practice, still hasn't practiced this year, and he's one of the league's best, that's for sure. You've got your safety out, and Robert Tonyan. I know tight ends don't mean much, but when you don't have many pass catchers there in Green Bay, it hurts as well that he's going to be out. Now the center Lindsley has been added to the injury report for the Packers, so I can't go along with Jacob on the Packers bet. On top of that, now Aaron Jones has gotten a calf injury during practice. So this Packers team, although they started red hot, the injury report is starting to add up in some key positions for this Packers side. Now the Texans, I can understand why no one would ever want to bet on the Texans again. They cost us a 60-1 multi last week. And look, can we just say, I know people are going to rip it. We had Texans plus 4. They're up. They're up 7 in the final quarter with about however many minutes left. They were up 7. They could have kicked the field goal to go up 8. They decided to go for 2 to go up 9. Now, they end up losing the game in overtime by 6, and they end up not covering, and everyone's kind of ripping them in terms of the decision. And it's easy to say afterwards, but in my opinion, from a mathematical perspective, I do believe that it was the correct decision to go for 2 there and try to end the game. And I like the aggressive attitude. There's too many teams in the NFL that play it a little bit too safe. So I do like that the Texans are going for it in those situations. And from a math perspective, it was the correct decision. Now, I would lean to the Texans in this one. I think they're the healthier team and they're at home. They get off the schneid there. They're 1-5 still, but you know, like I was kind of saying, Aaron Rodgers has been doing very well start of the season where there was, you know, no fans in the stadiums. But now, you know, the fans are starting to trickle back in. Texans are at 20% this week. So there's a little bit more noise. It's not as easy for Rodgers to get, you know, the defensive line to jump offside. But once again, I can understand where Jacob's coming from. You don't really want to play against the Packers off a really bad loss to the Bucs last week. So we're going to leave this one as well. The first game that we're going to have a best bet on, it is the Jags at the Chargers. The Jags are plus 7 points on the road and the total sitting at 49 points. Now the Chargers coming off a bye in this one, that certainly helps. I think in a disrupted season with little off-season and pre-season prep, I think the bye is probably worth a little bit more than it normally is in other seasons, because now you can properly game prep, you get a bit of extra practice in. And also, you know, we've seen how many injuries that there have been in this short season already. So, you know, just getting a few of those guys, healthier, you know, Keenan Allen a little bit banged up, Brian Bulaga a little bit banged up, all these guys, Linval Joseph, all of these guys carrying, you know, little niggling injuries. I think it helps when you get the bye week like that. And look, the Jags are fucking terrible. I know the Chargers are 1-4, the Jags are 1-5, but they're terrible. And they haven't played anyone good. They won against the Colts week 1, and I think that kind of, like I've said before, that threw everyone off the scent. They've been absolutely horrible ever since. I really think the Chargers will be bang up for this one, not only because of the bye, but it was a phony loss before the bye to the Saints, and you like to play a team off a loss, off the bye, because they come in hungrier than ever. Another reason, you know, Jacob agreed with me here on the Chargers, and he thought the Chargers were playing away, so he liked the Chargers laying the 7. He thought it was a road game, so that makes me fairly confident in this one because I like the Chargers too. And instead of laying the 7, I found what I think is a better bet in this one. It's the Chargers team total over 27.5 points. It's $1.87 on Unibet, and that gets us just under the key number of 28, which is obviously 4 touchdowns. And most other sites have that over 28 points, some even at 29.5. So I like that one. Chargers team total over 27.5. Let's move on to the Seahawks at the Arizona Cardinals. The Seahawks are laying 3 points on the road, total of 56. High total once again, and you can understand why. I mean, this Seahawks team has just been having shootouts all season long. But I like the Seahawks in this one, and maybe I'm square, but Jacob didn't have a play, so I've gone ahead and made a play for him here. But I like the Seahawks in this spot. First of all, like I said, good spot coming off the bye. Also, the last game that everyone saw is the Cardinals smashing Dallas. And Dallas were just absolutely horrific. So not only do you get the Seahawks off a bye, you have the Cards coming off a short turnaround. Plus coming off, I know they're at home now, but they've just played 3 straight road games. And, you know, that is a trend in the NFL that is a good one. You've been away for 3 weeks. And now you get to come home, prepare, and sometimes it's a little bit of a bad spot coming back home after 3 straight road games. Not only that, what got me over the edge for the Seahawks in this one is DeAndre Hopkins now in doubt, and it sounds like he's like 50-50 at best to go in this one. It's just that lingering ankle injury, so he's going to be a game time decision. And honestly, if he doesn't go, he's been the heart and soul of this Cardinals offense. He's just regularly getting 100+ yards every single game. I don't think, despite the Seahawks being 5-0, that they will be complacent in this one. You've got the lucky win before the bye against that Vikings team that they shouldn't have won that game, honestly. The Vikings butchered it. So look, you hate taking a team when they've had like a massive win before the bye week because they're all celebrating, they're all fat, drunk, and happy. I don't think that's going to be the case here with this Seahawks team. They had a lucky win. I think they're going to know that they escaped that one and they shouldn't have got the win in that one. So I think they're going to be focused here. And honestly, like this Seahawks team, we always talk about it in NRL and in different sports. Sometimes you just have a team that's like a team of destiny and they really think that they can do some work in this season. I heard an interview with Russ the other day and he truly believes in this team this year. He's saying that like how hard he worked in the off-season. He was working with DK Metcalf in the off-season. He even lived with him for a little while. So they've built a really good relationship. And this is just a hard-working team. And he truly believes that they can accomplish something special this year. I do too. And I think that this is a cheap line. I know it's on the road, but still limited fans in the stadiums. I'm going to take the Seahawks laying the 3. It's $1.83. You can find it on Bet365, on Ladbrokes, and on Neds. For those of you that are new to NFL betting, there are 3.5s out there. Do not take the minus 3.5. Try and get that minus 3 because 3 is the most key number in the NFL. Let's move on to the later games. It's the 49ers at the Pats. The Niners are catching 2 points and the total is 44.5. This is a really interesting game for me. I mean, you see last week what happened. Two totally different teams. I mean, the Patriots lost to the Broncos, which no one thought would happen. And Cam did not look right, obviously. It was the first game back for Cam after getting COVID. And he really didn't look right. You know, 2 early interceptions got him into a hole. And then, you know, the Broncos just ran it down their throats with Philip Lindsay. Now, we know Belichick off a loss is a beast. They had the bye 2 weeks ago. So they should be relatively fresh for this one, especially on the defensive end. One worry for the Pats is that the O-line got quite a few injuries last week. So when you've got a bad O-line in the NFL, it makes it tough to run, especially in the cold, and it's not going to give Cam enough time to pass in this one. So I don't think the Pats are going to be great on offense, but, you know, off the loss, I think they're going to be well prepped for this one. Now, the Niners, they get the win over the Rams, and we were on the Niners in that one. We thought it was a great spot for them. And a terrible spot for the Rams. So I'm not going to take away too much from that Niners win, but you saw the Niners play last week. I mean, you know, they just got up early and then they ran the shit out of the ball. But you look at Jimmy G, he is still banged up as all crap. He couldn't move at all. So I don't think that ankle injury is going to improve from week to week. I still think Jimmy G is banged up. Now we've got Raheem Mostert out. You know, you've got a bunch of freaking injuries on this 49ers team still. And now it's a bad spot for the Niners too. You played 3 straight home games in sunny California. And now you have to go on the road, cross country to freezing cold New England. So I don't think they're going to be able to score a lot of points here as well. I think both teams run the ball a shitload in this one. And I agree with Jacob. We're going for the unders in this one. We're taking the under 45.5 points. That's $1.84 on Unibet. I think the standard line is 44.5 everywhere, but happy to pay about 6 cents a juice to get under the 45.5 there. And then the final game that we're going to talk about, it's the Bears at the Rams. The Bears are catching 6 points. The total is 45. No best bets on this one either, but it should be a really good game, and it's one that I wanted to talk about because we actually leaned to separate sides in this one, and Jacob liked the Bears in this one, which was a shame because the Rams was actually one of my strongest plays of the round, but we are going to leave it. And look, you know, the Rams, they haven't been awesome, right? They're 4-2. They lost last week, but like I said, it was a really bad spot for them, and they've had a brutal schedule. Not in terms of teams, but in terms of travel to start the season. Now, this is probably the best spot they've been in all season long. They're at home for this one after a short travel to San Fran, and they had to go cross-country like 3 times in 4 weeks earlier in the season. So I think they're going to be a lot fresher in this one. Not taking anything away from them last week because, like I said, it was a bad spot for the Rams and a great spot for the Niners on their 3rd straight home game. And absolutely desperate for that one. And just a bad game script as well, because the Rams got into a hole, and that let the 49ers do whatever they wanted, and what they want to do is run the ball. Now, the Bears, I still think they're a really phony 5-1, and I think it's a really rough spot for them. They still haven't beaten anyone good except the Bucks, and I can argue they should not have won that one. Now you're playing your second straight road game. You're going cross-country travel from east to west, and you're going from cold weather to warm weather. And I think it's they've got a few injuries there, the Bears, and I think this Rams team is really healthy at the moment. So I think they're in a good bounce-back spot here, and I would lay the 6. But Jacob likes the Bears, so we are going to leave this game alone. And that's the only 6 games we're going to talk about. Only 3 best bets for this week, because we had quite a few disagreements. If only we got to chat. Maybe we'll have a chat and we'll have a few side bets on the side. But 3 best bets for this week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show, and hopefully you have some wins on the weekend. A lot of sport coming up. AFL Grand Final tonight. Obviously Cox Plate, and then Khabib in the UFC early tomorrow morning. And then the NRL Grand Final Sunday night. And then NFL Monday. So, guys, get some sleep. And good luck on the punt. And thanks again for tuning in. And we will catch you guys next Wednesday, I believe, is going to be our first off-season show. We will still be here during the off-season, even though the NRL has stopped. We're going to have a fun sort of variety show where we talk about topical sports that are happening. That's going to be Wednesday night. And we're going to have some guests on as well to preview the Melbourne Cup. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Gamble responsibly, and we'll see you guys on Wednesday.